The human monster strolls into the zoo, the cage doors clanging shut behind him like a death knell. Alien eyes bulge at the sight, his arms thick as tree trunks, his eyes dark and empty, a cruel smirk playing on his dry, chapped lips, scars crisscrossing his pockmarked face, souvenirs of blood-soaked battlefields. His name was Ethan Carter, once a soldier, once a hero, now just a tired, bitter man dragged to this tourist trap on some forsaken moon by his friend. The aliens point and babble, baring sharp teeth and twitching claws. Zoran's tentacle freaks, the same ones that tortured him for months in that hellhole, but he swallows the bile, shoving the horrible memories down. He's trying to change, trying to let go of the hatred. Dr. Emily, his bleeding heart buddy, thinks this will be good for him, cathartic. He'd rather just shoot them all, watch their brains splatter. But here he is, following her through exhibits of snarling beasts from 100 worlds. Human Ethan, the so-called monster, trots to his captivity or final punishment. Maybe it's time to give the gawking aliens a real show they'll never forget, one that ends in blood, brains, and justice. Ethan stomps through the zoo, clenching his jaw so hard his teeth hurt. Alien freaks gawk and babble as he passes each enclosure. He stops dead in his tracks when he reaches the final exhibit. A human male paces back and forth inside like a caged animal, matted brown hair hanging over wild, darting eyes, dirt smearing his pale skin, his white jumpsuit torn and filthy. He slams his fists on the glass wall, screaming wordlessly at the gathered Zorgans, trilling excitedly and snapping pictures with eye stalks. Mike, Ethan whispers. Mike Franks, is that you? The man's head whips toward him, chapped lips parting. Ethan Carter, his voice hoarse from disuse. Jesus, Mike, it's really you. I thought you died on Zorg Prime. What the hell are you doing in this shithole? Mike laughs, a harsh, barking sound, gesturing at the enclosure. Ain't it obvious? I'm the main attraction, the scary human soldier. He pounds the glass, sending the Zorgans scuttling back. You roaches! I'll kill you all. The aliens crowd closer, baring needle teeth in twisted grins. Eye stalks flicking between the two humans, recording the touching reunion for posterity.
Trage Bolz in Etans gut.
He whirls on a nearby Zorgan in a lab coat, Dr. Zox according to his name tag. What the fuck is this? Why are you keeping him here like some animal? Ethan's voice trembles with anger. Please calm yourself, sir. Dr. Zox blinks slowly. This human specimen was legally acquired from Zorgan military salvage. His display is crucial for our zoo's educational mission to teach the galactic community about your species' unique psychology and behaviors. Educational mission? This is sick. Ethan slams a fist against the glass. Mike flinches back instinctively. You can't keep him here. He's a person, not a goddamn zoo animal. Ethan grabs the curator by his coat, yanking him close. I don't give a shit. You're going to let him out now. Dr. Zio's eye stalks quivered as he held up his suction-cupped hands in a placating gesture. Please, release me. I understand you're upset, but the zoo is well within its legal rights. To hell with your legal rights. Ethan snarled, shoving the curator back. He turned to Mike. Don't worry, buddy. I'm getting you out of there. These tentacled bastards aren't going to get away with this. Mike met his eyes, something like hope flickering across his gaunt face. He nodded slowly. Ethan glared at the gawking aliens, teeth bared. Enjoy the show, freaks. I'll be back, and there'll be hell to pay. He stalked out of the zoo, his mind racing. He had to find a way to free Mike and expose this place, whatever it took. His friend was depending on him, and he wouldn't let him down, not again. Ethan paced the cramped motel room, his mind churning. He had to get back into that zoo, gather hard evidence of the Zorgans' twisted operation. But how? The place had tighter security than a nun's knickers. He glanced at Emily, perched on the bed and chewing her lip. I need your help, Document. You're good with computers, right? Hacking and stuff. She frowned. I mean, I know my way around a system, but this is crazy, Ethan. We can't just break into an alien zoo. The hell we can't, he said, grabbing her shoulders and forcing her to meet his intense stare. They've got Mike locked up like an animal and who knows how many others. We have to do this. Emily sighed, her shoulders slumping. Okay, I'm in. Let me see what I can do. Hours passed in a blur of frantic typing and muttered curses. Ethan paced, chain-smoked, pounded shitty vending machine coffee. Finally, Emily looked up from her laptop, a triumphant gleam in her eyes. I'm in. We've got full access to the zoo's security cams and surveillance logs. Ethan hurried to peer over her shoulder at the screen. Damn, yeah, document. Let's see what these scaly bastards are hiding. They huddled together, sifting through hours of grainy footage, cam after cam showing caged creatures listlessly pacing. But nothing on Mike or any other humans. Wait, stop. Ethan jabbed a finger at the screen. There, what's that? The camera was angled toward a nondescript door hidden in a shadowy service corridor. Lab-coated Zorgon scuttled in and out at irregular intervals. Emily chewed her lip. I don't have a camera inside. Let me see if I can find a blueprint or manifest. A few keystrokes later, she had it. Her face paled as she read. Oh God, Ethan. It's not just Mike. They've got dozens of prisoners down there. Ethan clenched his fists jaw tight. What are those tentacled bastards doing to them? More typing, more grainy video. Experiments. They're harvesting something from the prisoners. Some kind of essence. Emily said, her face grim. They want to make super soldiers, Ethan. Zoran troops with human aggression and killer instinct. Jesus Christ. Ethan slammed a fist on the desk, making Emily jump. Rage boiled in his gut, welcomed like an old friend. Let it burn away his doubts and fears until only purpose remained. Call the boys, Emily. My old unit. Tell them we've got a job, and it can't wait. Emily nodded, already dialing. What are you going to do? Ethan checked his sidearm, slid a serrated combat knife into his boot, letting a cold, brutal grin split his craggy face. I'm going to show those alien freaks what human aggression really looks like. And God help any squid that gets in my way. The night was dark as pitch when Ethan and his team moved in, just a sliver of moon peeking through the clouds. Zorgon guards patrolled the zoo's perimeter, tentacles coiled around plasma rifles. But Ethan's boys were the best of the best, honed by years of black ops. They slipped past like greased shadows, leaving only broken necks and twitching corpses in their wake. Ethan hugged the wall as he edged along the service corridor, senses straining. The hidden door loomed ahead, a single guard hovering before it. The poor bastard never stood a chance. Ethan was on him in a heartbeat, serrated blades slicing through purple flesh like butter, hot blood spraying as the Zorgon crumpled, gurgling. Ethan stepped over the body and wrenched the door open. Alarms shrieked to life, a cacophony that set Ethan's teeth on edge. Boots pounded down the hall. His radio crackled. Ethan, it's Emily. They're on to you. Get Mike and get the hell out of there. Working on it, Ethan growled. Darkness enveloped him as he shouldered through the door, submachine gun up and tracking. White walls blazed with fluorescence. Cages lined the room, packed with slumped human figures. His stomach clenched at the sight. Mike, he whispered. A shape stirred in the nearest cage, dark eyes slitting open. Ethan. Fucking hell, I'm hallucinating again. No time for a chat, buddy. Ethan shot the lock off and hauled Mike upright. Let's grab the others and blow this place. Gunfire erupted behind them, slugs pinging off metal. Ethan returned fire one-handed, shielding Mike with his bulk. Zorgon boiled into the room, a mass of writhing tentacles and snapping beaks. Purple blood sprayed the walls. Ethan's team fell into formation around him, pouring on the heat. They laid down a blistering barrage, slicing through alien bodies, but more just kept coming, heedless of the casualties. We're going to get pinned down at this rate, Sergeant Hicks growled, slamming a fresh mag home. Get the civvies out, Ethan ordered. I'll draw their fire. Buy you some time. Ethan, don't go. That's an order, Emily said, her jaw clenched. Hicks led the others to the cages, shooting locks and hauling limp bodies over shoulders. Ethan charged down the center of the room, his SMG chattering. He veered toward a gurney, rolling it forward and spraying lead as he came. A plasma bolt seared his shoulder, the smell of charred meat filling his nose, but he barely felt it. Adrenaline sang through his veins, cold purpose crystallizing his thoughts. Kill them all. Make them pay. Magnificent. Isn't it? The voice was like oil, sticky and repulsive. Dr. Voss stepped through the doorway, pristine lab coat billowing, his tentacles rising, each clutching a scalpel or syringe. The savagery, the sheer brutality. You humans are such perfect weapons. His beak twisted in a mockery of a smile. We thought the Zorgon genome was the ideal template, but we were wrong. We needed your rage, your killer instinct. So you talk too much, Ethan snarled. He lunged, his blade licking out. Voss parried with a scalpel, sparks flying. Tentacles whipped around Ethan, slimy and sinuous, seeking his throat. He slashed and hacked, black ichor splattering. Voss screeched high and shrill, eyes bulging with madness. "You can't stop progress," the alien hissed, stabbing with his needles. "The Council has seen the future, and it is human. Your species will be our tools, our dogs of war. Fuck you and fuck your Council." Ethan caught a tentacle and yanked, sending Voss stumbling. His boot lashed out, crunching into the Zoran's knee, Kidian shattered, viscous fluid spraying. Voss reeled back, shrieking. Ethan pressed his advantage, battering the alien to the floor in a flurry of blows. Straddling the twitching body, he grabbed a flailing tentacle and hacked it off at the root. Voss screamed and thrashed, scrabbling at Ethan's face. Ethan caught the alien's neck and squeezed, choking the cries to gargles. He raised his blade high. "This is for Mike me, you squid fuck." The knife fell and fell, stabbing and sewing. Voss shuddered and went limp, twitching as his life bled out in spurts. Ethan staggered to his feet, gore-splattered, chest heaving. It was over, it was finally over. He found the others outside, a ragged band of survivors huddled under Hick's watchful eye. Mike was there, draped in a blanket, arm around a shivering woman. Medics swarmed them, jabbing IVs and barking orders. Ethan stumbled to Emily, suddenly dizzy. "We did it, document. We got him out," he said, slumping as she caught him, easing him to the ground. "Easy there, hero. You're bleeding," she said, her face softening as she tended to his wounds. "It's just a scratch," Ethan slurred, eyelids fluttering. "Zio," he said. "Council was in on it." "I know," Emily said, her face hardening. "Sick fucks were working with the squids all along. But you stopped them. You exposed their plot. We've got to tell people." "I will, I promise. The whole galaxy will know what happened here," Ethan managed to say before letting his eyes slip closed, surrendering to the darkness. The fallout was immediate and explosive. News of the Zorgan experiment spread like wildfire, splashed across every holoscreen from Earth to the outer rim. Grainy footage of emaciated humans in cages, of Ethan's bloody raid, played on a sickening loop. There was no covering it up, no spin that could soften the blow. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's suffering laid bare, and it was horrified. The Galactic Council chambers erupted into chaos. Representatives from 100 worlds shouting over each other, tentacles waving and eye stalks bobbing in agitation. Some demanded answers, others justice. A few even called for war. "This is an outrage," the Alabaran delegate thundered, his blue scales rippling with anger. "The Zorgans have violated every principle of sentient rights. They must be held accountable." "How greedy!" the Vexi ambassador hissed, fur bristling. "And what of this rogue faction within our own ranks? We must root out this corruption before it spreads further." In the end, the council had no choice but to act. They launched a full-scale investigation, turning over every rock in the Zorgan government. Arrests were made, trials scheduled, and the conspiracy unraveled like a cheap sweater, revealing a rot that went far deeper than anyone suspected. Through it all, Ethan found himself at the center of a media firestorm. Reporters hounded him day and night, thrusting microphones in his face and begging for sound bites. They called him a hero, a champion of the oppressed. He wanted to tell them to shove off. He was no hero, just a man trying to save his friend. But Emily convinced him to use his newfound platform for good. "You have a voice now, Ethan. People are listening. You can make a real difference," she said. So he did. He spoke out against the Zorgans, against the rogue faction, against anyone who would treat humans as lesser beings. He met with alien leaders and activists, finding common ground in their shared desire for justice. Slowly but surely, he felt the old prejudices start to crumble, replaced by something like understanding. But even as the political gears turned, Ethan never forgot his true purpose. He visited Mike every day in the hospital, watching as his friend slowly put the pieces of himself back together. It was a long road, full of setbacks and dark moments, but Ethan was there for every step. "I don't know how you do it," Mike said one day, his voice still raspy from disuse, "dealing with all those alien bigwigs, spouting off about unity and cooperation. I can barely look at a Zorgan without wanting to put a bullet between its eyes." Ethan shrugged. "I'm not saying it's easy. I got plenty of rage left in me. But holding on to it, letting it poison everything, that's what they want. The only way to beat them is to be better." Mike snorted. "Listen to you going all old Jedi Master on me. Next you'll be spouting off about the Force. Ethan cracked a smile, the first genuine one in months. Now that hokey religion ain't for me. I prefer a good blaster at my side. They both laughed, the sound rusty and unfamiliar but no less welcome. It felt good to joke again, to remember that there was still light in the universe. As the chuckles faded, Ethan grew serious. I meant what I said, though, about being better. We've seen the worst the galaxy has to offer. Now we have a chance to make it right. For us, for all the poor bastards who didn't make it out. You really think we can? After everything that's happened? Mike's voice was small, uncertain. I have to believe it. Otherwise, what was the point of any of this? Ethan reached out, gripping Mike's shoulder. We're in this together, buddy. To the end. Mike nodded, his jaw clenching with resolve. To the end. There was still so much work to be done, so many wounds to heal. But for the first time in a long time, Ethan felt something like hope stirring in his chest. He had his friend back, he had a purpose, and he had a whole galaxy waiting to be changed. It was time to get started.